Raack, 10580 Southeast 131st Place, Ocklawaha. The document that I handed you is a lot of review. The reason I do this is for several reasons. Number one, it's to make sure that you guys are obviously aware of your responsibility as commissioners. But this also takes away any excuses or anything if things go to another level of saying, well, we didn't know. I'm presenting you the facts here. The purpose of the Constitution is to limit the power of the government and ensure that people maintain control of political power. And in fact, the Florida Constitution, Section 1 says this: all political power is inherent in the people. The enunciation, and that word just means declaration, herein of certain rights shall not be construed to deny or impair others retained by the people. In other words, the other powers or the other rights retained by the people. And so what happens is when rights are violated, and it doesn't, I don't know who started this idea of one right is more important or has more significance than another right. They're all equal. And in fact, the way the framers wrote the Constitution, they intertwine each other so that one right actually helps defend or protect another right. And ultimately, the Second Amendment, we know, is the ultimate right of defense for the people. And it's written that way in order to maintain a free state or a state of freedom. The right of the people to bear arms shall not be infringed. But I want to read this from the Declaration of Independence, and I know you guys have probably heard this before, but sometimes it's good to hear things again. This is the second paragraph. It says, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed." That's the people in the community. Your powers are only as valid as the people in the community consent them to be. That whenever any form of government becomes destructive to these ends or of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it, the government, and to establish new government, laying its foundations on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their security or safety and happiness. So that, and there's no real opinion here. This is black and white. So that as the rights of the people are infringed upon, and we've gone through, I've had the questions, well, which right are we infringing on? And I've brought up several instances. There's one that I've actually made an example of in this document that I've given you. The Second Amendment, says the right to bear arms shall not be infringed, and yet the Florida Constitution says the right of the people to keep and bear arms in defense of themselves and of the lawful authority of the state shall not be infringed, but then it adds to that, except that the manner of bearing arms may be regulated by law. That's an infringement. That's a contradiction within this one sentence. And I've asked the question before, which law do we follow? And when I asked the question before, I never got a real valid answer. In fact, the answer I got was, we don't give legal advice. Like, excuse me? Really? You guys took an oath to protect and defend the Constitution. I brought this up at the last meeting. Article 6, the Supremacy Clause, that is your oath, and that is what you're supposed to do. And I can tell you that there are people in this community that you do not see who are on board with what I'm doing, because we're all tired of this. And I'm going to actually cut this short today because I'm just very, very frustrated, and I don't want to go beyond what my authority is either. And with that, I'll bid you good day.
Thank you, Mr. Raack. We appreciate